Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Magic Arena Run. Today we're doing a very quick top 10. Things are a little bit busy now that everything's kind of getting back to normal. Well, maybe not quite. So, with the arrival of Core 2021, we've got one interesting change, which was all hounds have been converted to dogs as far as creature type goes. So, we probably will be seeing more we'll probably be seeing a lot more different breeds of dogs show up. It won't just be the typical hound. I'm kind of looking forward to something like Liliana's Chihuahua or whatnot. And actually, I figured it was a bit of a fun topic. For me personally, yes, I kind of chose Chihuahuas because these are my Chihuahuas. Yeah, I still miss Selena. She passed away last year, but the other two are still perfectly fine. A little bit antsy because they haven't been able to walk as much as ever since the lockdown, but otherwise they're all kind of chipper and fine. Maybe a little bit spoiled now, but that's how it is. So so this topic is top 10 good boys before Core 2021. So pack leaders not gonna make the cut, but I also made a conscious choice to choose actual pets. So sentient but not sapient. So the Einok from Tarkir, they're not gonna be qualified for this one. There are a bunch of them that are actually quite good, so that's a bit of a shame. But they're not gonna. But we won't be seeing them here. They're gonna be seeing all the good boys here. Actually, there's a little bit of an interesting story, so we'll start with off on number 10. So it's actually interesting. Like the story of Hound versus Dog has been a very long running story. Basically, what happened was, um, at early on, there were some that were printed as Dog and some printed as Hound. This was way back early on, and they had decided that they had to consolidate it. So, in the very early days of R&D, Mark Rosewater wanted to have it as Dog, but outvoted narrowly by Bill Rose, who was a VP at the time, vice president at the time. I think he still is vice president. Um, Outvoted by him, where the creature type is going to be Hound. Then the basic story is that a lot of time passed on, and it's changed from, and they realized that okay, Hound is probably way too specific. It's a bit of a mistake. The problem is it's been such a long time that it's kind of hard to change it. Then so there's always been this weird inside story that Mark Rosewater, aside from wanting to bring more squirrels into standard Magic, he wants to change it from Hound to Dog. So we probably got this card as a result. So this one's from the mystery booster. It's Rough Underdog Champion, 2 white legendary creature Dog Soldier, and all hounds are dogs. Will errata this to be true? This is pretty much the punchline here. Also, first strike and lifelink, and if you lost the game this match, card name and other dogs you control get +1/+1. It's also a 3/2, so well, not meant for constructed. Pretty much playing on the underdog pun, but also interesting that we got the mystery boosters a little like late last year, early this year. So well, this is from the convention version of the booster, so this one was late last year if I'm not mistaken. So knowing that knowing the design process and the timetable of R&D, seeing this card was actually very interesting. It's like their way of saying, oh, we're actually going to make that change. In fact, they say, we'll errata this to be true. Well, can't blame Wizards for not telling us anything. But anyway, that's number 10, Rough Underdog Champ. That said, there actually is one dog that did not have to be errated. Number 9, Zodiac Dog. So this is a 2 and a red for a creature dog, and in fact, it's always been dog, even in the. Yeah, this one's been pretty much dog. It's a 2/2 with Mountain Walk. The interesting thing was, because of the status of Portal, it never got changed to Hound. In fact, if I'm not mistaken correctly, they were printing creature type Hound already at this point. So basically, what happened was this came from a set called Portal Tree Kingdoms. It's one because it was set in this kind of Arthurian-esque mythical they would say it's like 60% fact, 40% fiction. Time period known as the Three Kingdoms period during the Han Dynasty. Now, this was also because this was the third portal set. Now, the portal sets had this interesting quirk of they were printing cards. It's a way to get people started into Magic. The cards were meant to be simpler. There were no instants. It was literally creatures, lands, sorceries. I think there might be. There might have been enchantments, but no, I don't even think they're enchantments or artifacts either. So it was literally just minimize creature types. No, minimize card types. So and the other if they wanted to make it an instant, it was actually wordier. They had to say that, oh, you can actually cast this at this time, not like when you cast a sorcery. That said, the other thing about this was that the 3 portal sets, they were never legal for tournament play. Despite the fact that they have white borders and had the regular Magic card back, so it was kind of a weird case. They changed that one quite some time way after when they decided that it made no sense to just to prevent these from being playable, so they became legacy playable. A few cards there were actually quite good. But that said, because of that, Zodiac Dog got to stay a dog all the way up to this point. It never became a hound. Also, this one has a bit of a soft spot for me because this is pretty much my birth sign in the Chinese zodiac. So number 9, Zodiac Dog. Number 8, Bingo. So this one's from Unhinged. It's a 1 and a green for a 1/1 hound. Okay, it's now dog. But I can say hound because that's part of the joke. So it says trample. Whenever a player plays a spell, put the chip counter in its converted mana cost. It gets +9/+9 for each set of 3 numbers in a row with chip counters on them. So if you see this grid here, you're basically playing bingo. And actually, there was a bit of a dig there. So there was a farmer, had a hound. We know it's dog, but the idea was it's a kind of a passive aggressive dig on how hound does not make sense, even though it sounds like the cooler one for the fantasy setting. It's kind of unnecessary at that point, and it actually breaks a lot of immersion as a result. So there you go, number 8, Bingo. Okay. So number 7, Corpse Cur. So this one's a bit of an interesting one. So Corpse Cur is an artifact creature. It's a dog now. For generic mana, it's a 2/2 with Infect. So those who were traumatized by Scars of Mirrodin block will know what this is. But also, when Corpse Cur enters the battlefield, you may return target creature with Infect from your graveyard to your hand. So this is one of the later game threats that you would play if you're playing the Infect archetype. Basically, playing Infect archetype was like your opponent is automatically at half-life of a sort. Not to mention that they have no way of healing the damage dealt to them. So very interesting if not polarizing gameplay. But also there's an interesting factoid. I looked over the original Mirrodin block. This one is the return. Original Mirrodin block, no hounds. So basically, the Mirrans did not know how to take care of dogs, or they were never pictured or whatnot. The Phyrexians were the ones who brought dogs in. So you can say what you want about these bad guys, but well, at least they know how to take care of dogs. So number 7, Corpse Cur. Number 6, this one's also interesting take on story, like how hounds could be used as part of a storytelling device. So here we have from this one we have from Shadows over Innistrad and oh wait, actually no, this is not Shadows over Innistrad. Hold on, I think this might actually be original Innistrad. So this would actually be a very, very deep story. Yeah, now that I look at it, yeah, this one, yeah. So this one's actually a cross set storyline. So here you go. So Traven Purebloods for and a white for a 3/5 hound. Well, okay, this one can get away with hound. This one is from original Innistrad. So I learned to trust my dog's instincts. When they're calm, I'm calm, and when they get nervous, I get my crossbow. So So this one was when it was normal horror, so to speak. You got the typical vampires, zombies, werewolves, spirits. They do very well. Then when we get to Shadows over Innistrad, we get the Traben Foulbloods. 2 and a black for a creature's zombie hound. It's a 3/2. It has Delirium, so it gets +1/+1 in menace as long as there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. So the story here is now the famed hunting hounds of House Sasani continue to prove the quality of their pedigree. Bit of a so basically now that certain Eldrazi invaded Innistrad, things kind of went bad for this house. So yeah, so basically it's a story of good boys gone Resident Evil, and also it's something interesting. Also, original Innistrad, there are 3 hounds. Shadows over Innistrad, this is I think this is Eldritch. No, let's double check that one. Yeah, I don't remember the set symbols exactly. I know the set they come from, but I don't. If I'm not mistaken yet, no, this is Eldritch Moon. So Emrakul was already invaded. So now there are only 2 dogs, and what the heck are they eating? Yep. I guess Innistrad, they can take care of regular horror, but they can't take care of cosmic horror. So anyway, that's number 6. Traben Purebloods, Traben Foulbloods. Oh yeah, I should have looked at the bottom corner in that one. So number 5. One thing interesting about dogs is about taking advantage of their habits and whatnot, especially when they're domesticated. So number 5, so we have Chakram Retriever for a blue for an elemental hound. This one partners with a creature with a human Chakram Slinger, and this one came from Battle Bond. And we have Paco, Arcane Retriever. This one's from the most recent commander set. So 3 red green legendary creature elemental hound also partners. This one partners with a human wizard. So this one's actually pretty much the one selling point about dogs, that you can easily picture them working together with humans. We get a lot of them throughout the set, but it works very well as in line with especially with the partner mechanic. It's actually very natural. We don't see it with cats at least. Well, then again, it's kind of out of the cat's nature. I don't like. Imagine a cat playing fetch. Anyway, that's number 5. Chakram Retriever and Paco Arcane Retriever. Fetch. Number 4, we're gonna start getting to a few legendaries now that we breached that one with Paco. Kuronos, Hound of Eteros. I think I just botched that pronunciation. Anyway, it's a 1 white black for a 3/3 legendary creature. Vigilance, Menace, Lifelink. I guess 1 for each head. Creature cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast spells from graveyards. So this one was this is Aetheros' Hound of the Underworld. We actually had another Cerberus before that, also legendary, but everyone kind of forgot it. This one would have also been forgotten as well if it were not for recent events, where this one works very well at keeping cats and titans from coming back again and again. And it was interesting tech, but unfortunately it didn't pan out fully because of a certain planeswalker getting back a certain human over and over again. Well, now that human's no longer tournament legal, I guess Kuronos can go back to hunting cats and titans again. Anyway, that's number 4, Kuronos, Hound of Atheros. Number 3, Mowu, Loyal Companion, 3 and a green for a 3/3 legendary creature. Trample, Vigilance. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on Mowu, that many +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. I'll say that very fast. So, very interesting part of the story, but very well known for being the loyal companion, get it, of Planeswalker Jiang Yanggu. Jiang made his debut in a global series set. So basically, they had this part where they would make Planeswalker decks featuring characters from the folklore of a region or country. So Jiang Yanggu and the other Planeswalker Mu Mu Yang Ling both came from the global series of set in China. And actually, what makes Mo interesting is pretty much the storyline where he planeswalks with the planeswalker. That one caused quite a bit of controversy if you actually follow Tumblr and Reddit and whatnot. There's basically argument like, no, only the planeswalker can planeswalk. Planeswalkers can't bring other organics with them. So actually, in fact, if you read the story of War of the Spark, okay, I can understand if you didn't, but there's a portion where Gideon himself actually muses, "How did you planeswalk with the dog?" Well, Jiang himself says that, oh, it's probably a magic dog, but the other planeswalker, Mu Yang Ling, remarks, oh, it's a dog that's made of rock, or could be mostly rock. Anyway, it creates some interesting theories, but let's not think too hard. This is not exactly science we're working with. Well, neither the planeswalking or a dog made of rock. But there you go. Number 3, Mo, loyal companion. May you always follow Jiang, and may he not die. Speaking of loyal companions, number 2, Isamaru, Hound of Konda, single white mana for a 2/2 legendary creature. All vanilla. Now, this is not exactly the first vanilla legendary. In the set where Legends first came out, Legends, we actually had there's actually a cycle of uncommon uncommon legendary creatures that were just actually very bad altogether. Now that you think of it, it's like much higher stats, like say a 6 mana 5/5 or whatnot, but no abilities. They were 2-colored as well. This was also the introduction of multicolor to the game. I guess they were writing it, oh, it's 2 colors, so that's why they're legendary. And they had some interesting stories and whatnot, but they were otherwise vanilla and otherwise very forgettable. Maybe not forgotten now that there's like a peasant format or an artisan format that there's actually an artisan brawl where they would choose some where you have to start with an uncommon legendary as your commander, and every other card has to be common. This one was a Magic Online thing. That one actually predated a lot of the uncommon legends in Dominaria and whatnot. So as for Isamaru himself, during the discussion of Champions of Kamigawa, one unnamed member of R&D remarked, it's impossible to make a vanilla legendary. Oh, how so? Because they're unexciting. Vanillas by definition are unexciting. Okay, no, that's not true. Okay, make one. So there you go. 1 mana, 2/2. Now, this is actually the very first 1 mana 2/2 where having no text was actually good, because back in the day it would be like a 2/2 with a big downside. And even more recently, a 1 mana 2/2 would still have some sort of downside. Like I think the most recent one would be 1 mana 2/2, but it enters the battlefield tapped. So I guess that makes Isamaru quite legendary. Also very faithful, also very faithful to the Konda family, if not to Takeno Konda, to his daughter Michiko. That said, number 2, Isamaru, Hound of Konda. And number 1, not a legendary, but a legend in its own right, Wild Mongrel. 1 in the green for a 2/2 creature. Discard a card from your hand. Wild Mongrel gets +1/+1 and becomes the color of your choice until end of turn. Now, this was part of a cycle of Hounds in the Odyssey block. Now, this one and Patrol Hound were the only 2 that had discard a card as part of their ability. They kind of enabled card discarding. Patrol Hound doesn't make it here because it's discard a card, Patrol Hound gets first strike, and you can, and more than one instance of first strike is redundant. It doesn't give you double strike. But more importantly were the colors that this was in. This was also, Wild Mongrel was also in the same block where we have Arrogant Worm, which you don't actually cast for 5 mana to get a 4/4. You cast it by discarding it, paying 3 mana to get a 4/4. How would you discard it? Wild Mongrel. Also the same block where we have Roar of the Worm, where you do not pay its retail cost. I believe the retail cost is like 7? No, you just paid 4. How? Well, it had flashback, so you have to get to the graveyard first. Guess who sent it to the graveyard? Wild Mongrel. Now, to be fair, Wild Mongrel was not the only one that enabled it. There was waterfront. There was a waterfront bouncer, if I'm not mistaken. But Wild Mongrel is usually the ubiquitous one. Also enabled Basking Rootwalla for. So basically, there you go. There's your. That's better than. There's your 0 mana 1/1 that can be pumped for free. And everyone remembers Blue Green Madness as a deck to beat during extended its time and during the standard its time as well. Anyway, that is number 1, Wild Mongrel. In fact, if I remember correctly, Shadows over Innistrad, they had a functional reprint of Wild Mongrel. Well, not quite a reprint. It had reach, and it did not get the color changing part. Well, because it was very hard to track, but it was interesting because it randomly holds protection. There you go. So that's it for this top 10. If you like what you saw, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Next month, no, we won't be doing top 10 cats, but I'll figure something out. Something maybe a little bit less strenuous. Probably along these lines, not so strenuous. Something that I can easily talk about. Something I don't have to prepare a way too long a script for.